Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Zone to Speak podcast. I'm your host, Juliana. This episode of Zone to Speak is supported by Peloton, the ultimate sunscreen for athletes. If you know me, you know I never leave the house without sunscreen, and Peloton is my go-to. It's lightweight, breathable, and designed for endurance sports, perfect for any day out on the saddle. And because they are supporting the podcast, you get 20% off your order. Just head to the link in the show notes and use the code ZONE2SPEAK at checkout. Protect your skin, fuel your adventures, and support the pod while you do it. All right. Today on Zone to Speak, I'm talking about the art and challenge of creating one of the world's most remarkable ultra-endurance cycling races set in one of the most dynamic and diverse countries in the planet. My guest is Olivier, founder and race director of Inner Scape. This self-supported ultra cycling event crosses Vietnam from north to south, covering more than 4,000 kilometers of jungle roads, rice paddies, mountain passes, rivers, coastal plains, and urban chaos. It's one of the longest, hardest, and most extraordinary unsupported races in Asia. Vietnam itself is a land of contrasts, bustling cities and serene countryside, Asian traditions and rapid modern growth, hunting, history, and a future full of possibilities. For riders in InnerScape, it's not only a test of physical endurance, but a cultural immersion unlike anything else on two wheels. Today, we are going to explore why Vietnam, what it's like to build a race from this scale, the logistical and emotional challenges of unsupportive ultra racing, and what's like to live and work in a country that keeps surprising you at every turn. Let's get into it. Olivier, welcome to Zone to Speak.
Thank you, Juliana. It's nice to meet you and to discuss the race.
Yeah. When I saw this, I was immediately attracted to it because I've been wanting to do something in Asia for a long time, the warm climate. And usually Asia, it's a little bit more affordable, the Euros go a little bit longer ways over there. What was it about Vietnam that first drew you there? And why do you think it has become such a compelling place for a long distance cycling?
Yeah, so my story with Asia comes from a long time ago, but Vietnam more specifically is linked to my family. So my wife is French Vietnamese.
Okay.
So living in Asia, the most natural country is Vietnam. And after COVID, we really needed to go back to Asia and be there. We were in France for the whole period of COVID.
Wow.
So this is how we got and settled into Vietnam. And then Vietnam is a country you have many ideas about, and then you're going to challenge them and change your vision and start to feel Vietnam instead of having ideas about it. And when you try to build a new image of it, it reminds you that it's dynamic. So Vietnam keeps you really aware, really active, very living, actually.
Yeah, very nice. So you live there. Can you share what is the story behind it and how the idea came about? What motivated you to turn this vision into a reality? And are you a cyclist? Do you do ultra cycling? Is that also the story behind?
We have to go back into my own cycling history to understand a bit the race. So when my daughter was born, the only way I could keep up with cycling was to have her in a baby trailer. So this was back when we were in France. And actually I would do all of my cycling volume with the baby trailer. But when we got to Vietnam, we decided not to carry the baby trailer because it's a lot to travel and everything. So for the first time in almost 4 years, I was free and light. First time cycling without a baby trailer. Yeah. But then my time and my wife's time and the family time had to be shared again for cycling. And I did not want cycling to be something that's taking time on this. So I started to discover Vietnam and cycle at different hours, like in the night, trying to do big loops to discover. And as soon as you start to feel Vietnam in this way, you think ultra, like ultra cycling, long distances. You look at the map, it's like very vertical. It's like if the route is already implied looking at the country.
Yeah.
And also it happened to be that our backyard, so from the coast where we are to Lao border, is a bit less than 200 kilometers. And there's a fantastic national park just there. So without knowing it, from the start, I was already in the best part of Vietnam, one of the best parts. So was very key to inspire the race.
And sorry, I'm not super familiar with the geography in Vietnam. Is that north? Are you on the
It's
north or
central Vietnam.
central? Okay. I've been to Da Nang.
Da Nang is quite the center.
Okay.
And you have a mountain range actually that is straight just above Da Nang. So North and South Vietnam, we could say, is before that mountain range and after that mountain range. So Da Nang is the first city in the south, we could say.
Okay. Okay. And so, as you said, InnerScape spans the length of Vietnam from mountains in the northern borders to the Mekong Delta in the south. The kind of route is logistically and physically demanding. Why did you choose north to south path for the race? And what does that directional flow give riders in terms of landscape and culture and challenge?
Yeah, so like from an historical standpoint, north to south is the origin of Vietnam. So the origin of Vietnam is really like in Hanoi. Wasn't called
Okay.
like this before, but this is how Vietnam spread and took the shape it now has. So you're following history a bit more if you go in that direction. And in more modern history, also, this is how Vietnam was reunified. Because InnerScape is an invitation to reflect on your own inner story through Vietnam history and landscape, it makes more sense to follow this direction. And for the flow of the race, it's very interesting because riders start straight in big elevation. So you start climbing up and down with huge mountains, very, how would I say, very raw landscapes. So you're brought back to your own scale quite quickly. You pick up the pace and then you find rhythm already in the mountains. So that's already like maybe for the first 4 days you'll be in the mountains. And then slowly you start to come down and find hills again. So you're still like you're not on the coast, you're still near the borders in the mountains, but it's not big mountains, it's more like hills and straighter. So
Okay.
your legs are well seasoned and you're ready to pick up speed. So it's a good place to be in aero bars also.
Okay.
Try to manage like zones, like how much can I push without burning. And then you have another more mountainous section in the middle. And at the end, in just over 1 day, you're totally in flatland. So you go from the mountains to flat and forever flat until the end of the race.
Wow. That's a nice break.
Yeah. But in the Deltong Mekong, the Mekong Delta, sorry, you have many tiny bridges to cross all the rivers, and usually they are
Wow.
quite steep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you
So
have
even though
to
it's
like get
flat,
off the bike to push through the bridge, those bridges crossing the rivers, or you can ride through it?
most of them you can ride, and then you have what they call the monkey bridges. Usually it's like maybe 10 centimeters wide. So this one you might want to push.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but we have no direct crossing that we put on the route using those. But for the Mekong Delta sections, people can choose to follow either side of the rivers. Usually, they just have to end up on the good route point at the end of the river.
Oh, that's nice.
But those, yeah, because it's like half a maze, half planned. So when you look at the map and you want to see which side is the best, which side is the straightest, it's dynamic. So I understand riders might want to do some changes there and choose their, like, the left side or the right side. Yeah.
Is that just for that portion of the race, or the entire race riders can self route?
No, so the whole route is pre-planned and fixed. But
Okay.
following the rivers in the Mekong Delta, you always have like two sides to the river.
Okay.
So one side might feel more inspiring, like because of the local houses, but you could always see the other side from where you are. And then you just need to make sure, if you decide to choose the other side, that you can connect with the real route at the end. And you just need to manage the bridges. I think it's an interesting part of being in the Delta.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are some parts, I mean, Vietnam is quite densely populated. I saw a video from Restrap that some of their guys went on a Vietnam bikepacking trip. And even sometimes during the mountains, there was like, I mean, it's not highly populated, but there was a lot of people also doing not bikepacking, but like crowds of motorbikes passing by. How is it like navigating all these 4,000 kilometers? Are there more um, less populated areas? Is it easy to find food?
Yeah, so we start just at the outside of Hanoi because we did not want the
Okay.
riders to start in the middle of the biggest traffic we have in Vietnam.
Okay.
So for the first few days before you reach the main cities, you're just in the mountains and picking up your flow. And then the traffic in Vietnam is quite organic. So if you forget that there are traffic laws and you just become aware, and when you come to an intersection, you say, "Oh, there might be a car from that side or that side," then it becomes very natural. Like, actually, it becomes natural again. You just don't expect people to follow abstract laws. If there's space to pass, you can pass. You look in front of you. People do the same. They look in front of them.
So very
So it's
fluid.
dynamic, very fluid. Actually, like if you've done fixie riding before, like fixed gear riding in the cities, like New York style,
Yeah.
like that kind of flow, but everyone is looking for everyone, which is not the case in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's very different, at least for most people living in Europe or North or South America. There's more strict laws that you have to obey. I remember I've been to Nepal and I was like, I know people said like there's no traffic lights there, and I'm like, it's impossible. But actually, there's no traffic lights, and they have different types of beeps, that they are
Yeah.
honking for different things. It's organized chaos, I guess. Vietnam a little bit
Yeah.
better, but similar.
Yeah. Vietnam, like, the laws are there and people will follow them, but just the amount of motorbikes that there are
Yeah.
create situations where you have just to look at the situation and do what has to be done because it's
Yeah.
the safest, actually.
Yeah.
So when the roads are empty, like, people will do the red lights, even if it's middle of the night. Like, there are traffic laws and they're followed, and we expect riders to follow them as well. But when it gets very dynamic, you can be sure that people are very aware. So riders should not be afraid of like dense traffic with a lot of motorbikes. You just follow your instinct and what you see, and people will be aware and you will be aware. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. And self-supporting racing has become a defining trend in ultracycling. Um, Most races, we know that the rider has to manage navigation, food, rest, mechanicals, and their own strategy without outside assistance. Can you talk the listeners through what self-supported means for InnerScape? Because some races are a little bit different than others.
Yeah. So for InnerScape, we follow like the same guidelines as the big races, like transcontinental race or any of those, let's say, high requirements. Like, we want self-supported to be self-supported.
Yes.
So we really provide a framework for the experience adventure to happen, but then riders are entirely responsible for how they take decisions, what they look for. So exactly like you said, the food, the lodging,
Can they
hydration.
book the lodging in advance? Because I know TCR won't allow you or something like that.
They could if they want, because it's still publicly available resources, and this is like normal travel planning. No one is helping you doing it. So there's no issue with that. And like to resonate a bit more with the name InnerScape, like self-supported is also one of the rare occasion in modern life where you put yourself in a situation where every decision has a direct impact on you with no real backup. Usually in life we have multiple backups like insurances, like companies that provide services that create safety for us. So we kind of deliberately put ourselves in a situation where we take back ownership and responsibility on our life within hardship. So
Yeah.
we can meet ourselves from a deeper level if the conditions are done right. But everything is done with preparation and awareness. So it's the best conditions to do it, actually.
I'm just going to jump in here for a quick break from the conversation because if you have been listening for a while, you know I only share brands that I actually use and love. One of these is Code Age. They make science backed supplements that really support active lifestyles. I have been taking their creatine gummies for recovery and strength, and the women's multivitamin for energy and immune health, especially during big training weeks. They have got everything from hydration to collagen and endurance blends, all top quality. You can get 10% off with code ZONE2SPEAK at codeage.com, and you will be supporting the podcast while you are at it. All right, back to the episode. And how long do the riders have to finish those 4,000 kilometers?
So the cutoff time is 18 days.
That's
So
generous.
yeah. Some participants are not sure they can make it, but I think most of them will do it in less than that. So
I mean, it's
that's like
generous.
200.
I'm saying it's still a huge, huge challenge. It's just generous because I know a couple of other 4,000 kilometer races that you have 15 days. So 18 days at least gives you three more, but it's so hard because what you have to do an average of 250 a day or 200 a day. Doesn't seem like a
Yes.
lot, but over 15, 18, 20 days, it's a lot on the body.
Yeah, and this one is not entirely road also, so it's like all road and a little bit of gravel. So some
Okay.
sections will be very slow. So riders look at the maps and they try to see like how much gravel there is, and so this is why they are a bit unsure with the cutoff time. But having scouted the route, I'm sure it's the perfect cutoff time for people to have to still optimize and think about how they use their time, but to be very manageable. Like if you need to rest a bit more, sleep enough, ride mostly by day because we want to encourage that as well. Because the route is so beautiful, it's a bit of a pity if you don't see
If
it.
you miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to ask actually, my next question was going to be, how is Vietnam terrain and what riders should expect? You answered that a little bit, but do you know the percentage breakdown between road and gravel?
Yeah, I have two data points for this. So there's the one that comes from the map and the apps. So they say about 30% gravel, but actually their data is like what they call road sometimes will be bad concrete or like broken asphalt or tarmac,
Yeah.
surprise gravel. And some other sections that they call gravel will be entirely newly paved when you get there.
Yeah.
So Vietnam is building and changing infrastructures very quickly, so the map layers don't follow the pace. Also for elevation, sometimes they decide to dig the road a bit more to smooth it out. So you see on your GPS that you have this much to climb, and in the end you have less.
Okay, that's
Um,
nice.
that's nice. It's a good surprise in that
It's a good
size, in
surprise
that
for sure.
sense. Yeah. For the quality of the roads, surprises can go both ways, bad or good. But I would say there's a lot more all road than gravel. And the gravel sections are always very worth it for the landscape and the space you get to. So you're okay to be slow there. You actually want to be slow.
Yeah. And
And
is this the first year of InnerScape, or you have had a previous version?
no, so this one is really the inaugural year, and scouting
Nice.
started last year. So we are 1 year in proper scouting for the exact route, and 3 years cycling in Vietnam.
How has that been?
Demanding, but very natural. So Vietnam is a very welcoming country and a very proud country. So when you talk to locals and even like expats in cycling communities, like doing something that covers the whole of Vietnam is very inspiring for everyone. So you meet the
Yeah.
good people, you connect with the good people, and things slowly happen. So it's just to get started and get out there, and like for a long race, just do step by step. But it's really the perfect country to do this. It's very safe. People are welcoming everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the culture and the people and those unexpected encounters are really magical. And I mean, at least for me, from the ultras I have done, those moments really stay with you, especially when you see so much kindness and a completely different culture welcoming you. So I'm sure this will be a very nice moment for the riders on Innerscape this year. And when is it? What time? What period? What time of the year?
So it's 1st of March. So we chose
Ooh,
spring because it's the country is in good condition for most parts. Actually, like if you choose any other season, you will always have one part of Vietnam that is either too cold, too hot, or rainy.
yeah.
Yeah, so spring was the perfect moment for that.
Nice. Yeah. Vietnam can get quite hot and humid. When I was in Da Nang, I was actually racing the Ironman 70.3, and somehow it was a very rough swim. I took a little bit longer than, well, a lot longer than expected. I think everyone. Anyways, when I got to the run, it was 42 degrees, 80% humidity. It was really, really tough, but beautiful. I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, I love the heat. Bring it on. No problem. But a lot of people suffer.
Yeah, this is one big thing in Vietnam. You need to be prepared for the heat and know
Yeah.
that the sun is different. Like the UV index in Vietnam is very high. Like locals will wear hoodies in the middle of summer. So it's 40
Wow.
degrees, but they wear hoodies, masks, full face.
Wow.
Um, yeah, so it's because the indirect heat is more bearable than the sun on the skin, and also you burn so quickly. So
So you said, you've been there for over 3 years and scouting and putting all this together. Um, One thing is to outline the route on a map, right? And go and ride. But it's another thing to ensure safety, get permissions, infrastructure, contingency plans. It's a big event. Can you take me through the process? How has it been like in terms of logistics, permissions, building relationships with the communities and authorities?
yeah, so the first part was done before I had the idea of the race, which
All
means like
right.
really being included in the community, like being active, taking
Yeah.
part in local races, cycle as much as possible, connect with people. And then from there, when the idea emerges, you just have the network and the friendship that is built that allows
Yeah.
for it, because you always know someone who knows someone who knows someone, and then you know everyone you need to know for the event to happen.
Yeah.
um, what is good regarding like permits and everything is that the race is on an open course, so we don't have to close roads.
Yes.
um, so the participants, they enter the flow of natural tourism in Vietnam, actually, like people visiting the country by motorbike, by
Got it.
bicycle, and they don't stay together, so they don't create disruption with the traffic. They spread out evenly on the course.
Yeah.
So that's easier for that. Also, because we don't give a price in money at the end, it's a different category. So basically, like ultra cycling and this kind of event is the perfect fit for the legislative landscape in Vietnam. And then having the few resourceful contacts we have ensures everything is tight. And we also have like the good plans when we scale to adjust dynamically, like depending on the number of participants for the requirements as they grow. So yeah, that's basically it. Very welcoming also on that level.
That's really good. That it seems like it has been very smooth putting it all together and getting all the permissions, even if you need it. That's really good. For writers listening that want to be part of it and prepare, what would be your advice in terms of preparation, physical, mental, logistical? Would you say matters most before they even arrive at the start line?
Yeah, so Vietnam is a very good country, even for a first ultra, just
Yeah.
because you have so many like family restaurants, family homestays. People are very caring also, and they really respect the idea of putting effort into something. So when they see you crossing their country on bicycle, it activates something that is very healthy and safe and supportive of what you're doing. So I think the logistics of like self-supported race is a lot easier actually in Vietnam, just because everything is accessible everywhere. Then you still have some remote sections, so you need to be comfortable being alone in some nature that maybe you don't understand. Like when we hear jungle, we have many ideas of what the jungle is, depending on where we grew. So maybe we have some things to deconstruct about this, make a bit of research to be more informed, like what kind of animals, how do clouds form? I don't know, like how fast can it get rainy?
Yeah.
Just like to make sure we have something a bit more accurate than just our upfront ideas about what nature will be in Vietnam. And even then, I still say like even nature is welcoming. So when you're deep in the jungle sections, it's almost healing. Like you feel the scale of the nature around you. And some protected parks, you can feel also like how old the nature is. So you actually feel very safe also, like even if you're alone. So you definitely need to prepare for heat in Vietnam, heat training, also getting used to riding like maybe with long sleeves, even if they're light, covering the neck, like because our reflex when it's hot usually is like to try to go light, maybe put sunscreen, but we would recommend really like go long sleeve, go a bit more like covered. At the end of the day, you're a lot more rested if you've done that, and to be heat adapted before you get to the race.
Yeah, I love those super thin jerseys. They are long sleeves. And people are always like, "You're not hot." I prefer to be a little bit hotter. And even though they breathe really well, so no, I'm not really hotter, but it just protects so much more your skin. It's amazing. I also really like when you said that even nature is welcoming. I wanted to ask you, how is it to be riding there as a woman? Because I know there's a lot of talks about safety. Of course, women comes to mind first because it's just an easier target. How safe it is for a woman there riding alone?
Maybe it's harder for me to say as a man.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, because but I know many female riders who do long rides in Vietnam, and I've never had discussions where they felt unsafe.
Okay.
And so from my experience as a man, what I can say is I feel also very safe with my encounters with locals. When I may have doubts sometimes, and that could be just my mind projecting, but it's like when people are going to bed and if that those that are awake have been partying, like maybe like 11:30 to 1 a.m. Sometimes you might get different feelings, but usually like still no issues. It's just you feel that the vibe is a bit different. The people that are still awake have been drinking sometimes.
Makes sense.
But
Yeah.
yeah, just feeling base. But in practice, nothing happens.
Yeah. Do you have any numbers in regard to like how many people are already signed up? What you can share? Are there some women signing up as well?
Yeah, so for this year, we don't have any women. We were
Okay.
supposed to have a pair with one woman and one man from China, um, but in the end, uh, they're not available to come.
Okay.
So we
I
will
wish I
most
could
likely,
go.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
um, yeah. So for this year, it's really like the inaugural edition with pioneers and mostly people from Asia, because people from Europe and the States need to plan a bit more for such a trip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so we have people from Kyrgyzstan, Malaysia,
Nice.
Singapore. Yeah. So we are also answering like a need also because people see the big races in Europe, but they have to go there and travel all the way to
Yeah.
Europe to do this.
Yeah.
Now they have a big race also in their neighborhood, if we could say. Um,
Yeah. I love it. For me, 4,000 is too long, so I'm just gonna throw it out here. Maybe you could create like an adventure one for just a little bit shorter or a lot shorter. I do want, and I know a lot of people want to explore Vietnam by bike. So hopefully this podcast will help listeners make that decision and join InnerScape. If not this year, the following year. I think Vietnam it's such a beautiful country, amazing food. I think it would be a really, really cool adventure to explore.
Yeah, and if you want to feel inspired, we're gonna do like very nice live coverage of this special edition of the race, the
Cool.
inaugural edition. So you can follow along and make sure that you get the true feeling of the riders as they go. Um, and so this will start around the 28th of February.
Okay.
And so there will be live coverage and then a full movie about the race. So you can make sure
Nice.
to be fully inspired for your trip.
Okay, we'll definitely share that. Olivier, thank you so much for taking me into the heart of InnerScape. I really can't wait to see this coverage and be even more inspired together.
Yeah, thank you for your time, your fantastic questions. It made me rediscover my own project in a very interesting way. Sometimes we're a bit too deep in it, so it's good to externalize and speak about it from questions. So thank you for
That's
that.
true. Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's all for today's episode. I want to thank the listeners for tuning in. Your support means everything. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider following, leaving a review, and sharing it with your friends.